My name is Noah Hacker. For my literacy comprehension strategy, I chose to do semantic mapping. The book I chose was What Were They Thinking? Really Bad Ideas Throughout History by Bruce Felton. The main idea behind semantic mapping is that the student will draw the main idea, key phrase, concept, etc. in the middle of the page and then slowly branch out to related concepts, mapping out each of the relationships as they go along. The purpose of this exercise is to get students to take notes and explore concepts on the page in a way that more resembles the way that we think, a lot more so than just writing definitions out of the glossary. By mapping out these concepts like this, it helps build a better visual representation of what we're thinking as we're learning versus the same old conventional exercises. And another pro of this method is that it helps your lessons really retain a lot more focus on the main idea and how each of the other topics relate to that, which is great because it helps you from straying too far off topic in your lesson plan. So the way this activity works is that you select a main idea for the day, the main idea of the lesson, of whatever your lesson plan may be, the central focus, and you get the students to write that down in the center of the page. And let's say you're teaching history, you would get them to write down all the major people, places, events that were in play and all related back to this central idea. And then from there, they can connect more ideas to those related people, places, dates, and slowly branch out. After you've given them some time, you bring the class back together and ask the students what they found. And as they tell you, you write down each of their ideas on the board and model this process for them, because the first few times you're probably going to have to model it a lot before they really catch on. And after you feel satisfied with the amount of concepts that you've gotten down, then you can go ahead and fill in any that the students missed and start teaching the lesson. And then as new concepts or keywords pop up, then you'll add those into the empty gaps of the prior knowledge that you already filled in. Now, the best part about this, from the perspective of a history teacher, is that your concepts aren't going to be as disjointed. Since you focus on the relationships between the concepts so much, it makes it a lot more coherent, it makes it flow a lot better, and you're always focusing on that main idea and not getting off on a tangent. Students also are being able to organize this information in a lot better ways than just defining the vocabulary in alphabetical order. This is going to help them organize and fit the new knowledge and concepts they learn into the foundation and prior knowledge they already have. And this keeps them focused on the historical significance of the events going on in the big picture. Now, the book I chose was What Were They Thinking? Really Bad Ideas Throughout History by Bruce Felton. This book doesn't have any one central focus, but it does tell many different stories of really bad ideas throughout history. And most of these are pretty entertaining, and I think it's a great way to get students really involved in reading historical nonfiction. Now, if I was going to use the semantic map strategy, I would choose the story of Seward's Real Folly. William Stewart was the Secretary of State under Abe Lincoln and after him under Johnson. And Seward's most well known for buying Alaska, which was considered a huge waste of money. But this book has another idea of his that actually does turn out to be terrible. And since they were facing the Civil War, William Seward's idea was to declare war on France and Spain. That way it would bring the Americans together and unite them in a cause of war against someone else. So for this story, I would put Seward in the center of the page and ask the students to write down everything they could think of about him and all the prior knowledge they had about him, which would be his Alaska purchase, working under Lincoln, Johnson, and working during the Civil War. So then after reading the passage, I would talk about the letter suggesting we go to war with France and Spain, and France and Spain's attitude towards America, and I would add both of those to the outside of the map. Especially if this was our first time working with semantic map, I think that would be a pretty basic and easy to understand lesson to do this with. I think you can use the strategy in any content area with vocabulary, but I think the best use of it is probably with English vocabulary, because this can really help to clarify some of those really subtle and complex relationships between words. But I think science teachers could also get a lot of use out of it. The example I gave was with the ocean and the different zones in the ocean, but I mean, you could use it with planets, heavenly bodies, in biology to show the relationships between different organs or different classes of animals. The main things you want to remember whenever you're using this lesson is to try to focus on incorporating vocabulary, keeping your lesson focused on the main idea, and showing the different relationships between the concepts and the main idea. And each time you add a new concept, you need to add it to the map at the front of the board. And another great resource I found whenever I was researching this was the visuwords.com. This is actually a really interesting site because it gives you the opportunity to pop in a word, and all the different synonyms, antonyms, words related to it pop up with different lines kind of showing the relationships and explaining them. Then you click on a word and click on its synonym and its synonym, and you can just keep bouncing around for hours exploring the different relationships between words. And if you're trying to teach, especially English vocabulary, this is really useful and a lot more engaging than a workbook per se. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys learned about semantic mapping and how you might be able to use it in your classroom.